Okay, today guys I'm going to be showing you how to make a really simple object, not like this one. This one's a harder object, but later on you'll be able to get onto these sort of things that you can put into Arma and you can build and use for your own assets, release your mod, put it on the workshop and whatnot. So I'm currently working on building a mod out for a server I'll be releasing soon, so that's why I'm building these sort of assets. But I'm going to show you today how to make just a small cylinder, like a pipe of metal, like the MetalPole from Arma 2. So first of all, we're just going to come in, we're going to straight up delete that. We're going to get our bottom part, we're going to open that up, and instead we're going to just put UV image on, just so we're ready for that later on. Also, we're going to want to extend our file over the side here, so that we have our Arma toolbox settings and everything on the side. Make sure you've got your Arma toolbox settings enabled and you've actually installed them into Blender. If you don't know how to do that, someone else will have a tutorial up. That's not what we're doing today. So today we're just going to cylinder. Now this cylinder is much too big, so I'm going to press 3. It needs to come down. I'm going to bring it across, press 7 for top view, and bring it into this side here. Pan around it. If you don't know how to use Blender, you also have to use another tutorial to do that. I'm not teaching you how to use Blender. Now, we're going to want to scale this right down because that is way too big. So now we can see that it is sort of this sort of size. We're going to bring that down to near ground level. That's below ground. Needs to go above. Cool. And bring it back into our side. If Blender would like to work for me. Now, I'm going to show you a few sort of things, so like Boolean in Blender there, how to get an object to take away from another object basically. So, I'm going to take this one, we're going to go scale, we're going to enter, but we're going to go for the Z-axis and we're just going to extend it, so it's roughly that long. Click this one and we're going to tilt the object sideways. Then, just for purpose sake, in Arma, we're going to bring it around this way as well. I'm going to try and flatten that out. So now that's the metal pipe we're going to want inside of Arma, but obviously a metal pole has no inside to it. So what we're actually going to do here is we've already got this object. We're actually just going to copy this object, so Control C, Control V. We've got another one of the objects. Instead what we're going to do is leave that inside of it. We're going to go scale and we're going to make it slightly smaller than our previous object. So just dragging makes that smaller. That's going to fit inside of there. But we are going to want to extrude it longer, so it is going to want to be a, oh, that's the wrong axis, I didn't mean to do that. It is going to be a slightly longer object, but then we now have to make this smaller to fit inside. Come across the tools here, go to add modifier, hit Boolean, come into difference, select the other object, which is cylinder 1, press apply. Now we're going to want to grab this object, pull it away from that object, and as we can see now we have a hollowed out object that is now our metal pole. We're just going to delete this object now, we don't need it anymore, just by pressing delete on it. Now we've got our object. One thing we do need to make sure we've got is this is an Arma object, and the custom distance of it is 0. Now we've got our object here, we're going to want to texture it. So at the minute it's not got a texture at all, it's just some plain object that they have, and we can prove that by going to material here. It's just a plain object that's got nothing to it at all, or you can render and it's got nothing on it at all. we stick a material view. So now what we're going to do is just go to edit here. We're going to double click A, press U, Smart UV project. We're going to just ramp that up to 70ish, press OK. Now that looks good, to be fair. Sometimes you get really bad ones, you can ramp that up and down, that slider, and you get better ones and worse ones, but that's pretty decent. So now we're just going to go to UVs, export UV layout. We're going to put it on the desktop. We're just going to call it MetalPole and export UV layout. Now let me just grab that from my desktop, which is on the other screen. MetalPole, and we're going to put that into this Photoshop here. So this is our new one, this is our MetalPole, this is what we got. We're going to want to find ourselves a decent metalish texture, which I downloaded one from the internet earlier, which is just what I've been using for most of my MetalPoles. Got a few of them. You can add rust and sort of textures to them if you want high detailed ones, but an object of this sort of size isn't going to be that detailed. So we've got our metal texture here, which won't look very big, but we'll just resize it out. Just sort of there for now. And we're going to just put this over these. And what I like to do for these sort of things, just drag that layer above that layer, so now we know where we are with that. Select that again, just put him in there. I'm just going to make this whole thing like that. It doesn't need to be amazingly complex to be effective, but it's just a simple way of doing it. Grab those two. So when we get objects like this, pain in the ass, we have to just go up like this, enter. I'm just going to copy that because we're going to need that again for this part over here. I can't grab that, so we're going to need to select the layer, drag it away. Now bring it back over. I'm no Photoshop expert, as you can see. Just be rough with it. Now, even with these circles here, you can just drag that away again, put that back up there, drag that back in. With these circles even, we can just do something like that. Doesn't matter where it is around it, because it's only going to grab the it's just going to grab what's in this, like within the shaded parts here anyway, so it doesn't matter. With something that's a little bit bigger, like a building, you're going to want to add a bit more detail because it's a building and people can see more detail in it, but for small objects like these it doesn't really matter. So now what we're going to do is just make sure that layer 1 is down below all of these layers again. So that's the bottom layer. That whole thing's just made out. It's not the neatest, but it will do. I'm just going to go to Save As, go down to Targets, Desktop, MetalPole.tga. Perfect. It's going to prompt you a notification of how many pixels. Just do 32, this little window here. Press that. We're going to minimize, come back out to Desktop, and we have our MetalPole.tga, which is here. Now we're also going to want to open that with text to view. Get a text to view of that. This is the text to view window. It's in your Arma 3 tools. And we're just going to go Save As, and then we're going to make that a PAA. That's also going to go to our desktop. Once that's saved, as we have here, we're just going to get rid of that, close that down. And we've nearly got the basic setup for our object. What we're going to do though is go into Blender, just load that file on so we can see what it looks like. Pull this out so we can see the rest of this. I'm going to go to Material, because you need it to have a material. I'm going to go New, That's the material done. That's all we need for that. And then we're going to go a new texture. We're going to go open a file. We're going to go, it's on our desktop, and it's going to be a MetalPole.tga. Open the TGA file. We're going to come down here. We're going to go to rendered, and that's our MetalPole. Doesn't look the best because we rushed it very quick, but that's all we get for rushing. So we can go back to that, go to Object View. Yep, it will do. It's not perfect, but it will do. We actually have a lamp up here somewhere. There. So now what we're going to do is we're going to capture an image of this in rendered mode here for our icon. So I'm going to take a screenshot. This will be a print screen. Grab that, and then we're fine from that. Now we're going to get our object. It's going to be in object mode. We're going to go Control A, save the location, and then Control A again, save rotation and scale. Now we're going to go File, whilst we still selected on it, Export P3D. Just onto our desktop again, we're going to call it MetalPole. Perfect. So now we have a MetalPole.p3d as well. We're also going to need a mod to put this in, so the mod structure would be whatever your mod's called, so mine's at Daisy Legends. You go into that, and then you've got an add-ons, keys, then other files you don't exactly need. In your add-ons you're then going to want a PPO. So inside of here we have our config, which we're not going to open in this, we're going to open this in Atom. And this is what we have, this is what our configs look like. So I've already got one in here, so I'm just going to copy that. I'll provide one of these in the description for you. And we're just going to call this MetalPole. And then we're going to call this one MetalPole. Change this to a MetalPole. Get rid of these two because they're not done yet. We're going to go into our files back here. We go into objects. We put our MetalPole in there. Go back. Our icon isn't done yet. Our texture is done though, which is that one. And now we're going to do our icon. So we're going to want a file, new. Icons don't have to be big. So we've got a new one here, we're just going to do a 1024 by 1024. Okay. Then we're going to go and get our screenshot. So we can go to pictures, we can go to screenshots, and it's our most recent screenshot, which is here. And then that's our MetalPole put in there. I also like to have my logo of the mod put into it, so I'm just going to drag that, stick that in there, and put that where I usually put it, in the bottom right, down there, like so. Then that's that done. Now we're going to have both these layers selected, we're going to go File, Export, Quick as PNG, back onto our desktop, and it's going to be MetalPole icon. Save. Minimize this. And there's our MetalPole icon. I'm going to right click and go open with text view, which again is here. Opens up around the monitor. File, save as PAA. Save. CfgPatches.paa created. We're going to go back into our mod folder, add-ons, icons, drag our icon in, and now we're going to go back into here and we're going to go icons, that's MetalPole, if I don't type wrong, pole icon, MetalPole. Yep. So now we're going to open our MetalPole and we're going to apply the texture, which I don't know if we, yeah, we did put it in here. So this is opening a thing called Object Builder. Object Builder is a pain to learn, but can be good. So now we're just going to highlight everything we have here, go to Structure, Topology, find Components. Now we found our components, we're going to press E. After we press E, we're going to open where our texture is found, which is inside of here, but it's not a TGA, it's a PAA. So it's a MetalPoleIcon.paa. Open. Now it's going to try and path you to everything, but because it's a mod, we don't need it to. We only need it to path to what the PBO is called, which is DZLObjects. We're going to apply that. It's going to apply to all of them. Now we're just going to see how it's not saved. Control S. Close that down. Now we're all set to go. That's all done. Just check everything's done, which it is. We're going to go back to here, we're going to delete our old PBO, and go to here, PBO Manager, pack into PBO. Delete our file, go to our Arma 3, and we're going to launch our mod, which is called Davies 5's on there, because that's the old one. And we're just going to play that. So now we want to go to Editor, Virtual Reality, open that. We're just going to place any random character down and press play. It's actually really important what you called your thing. You need to remember what you called it. So we called ours a MetalPole. That's what the class name is that goes above. So now we're just going to local accept player add item in quotations, what the item class name is, and it has semicolon. So now we've local executed that. Go in here, there's our MetalPole inside our inventory, and if we're going to drop that down on the floor, there's our MetalPole on the floor. We now have a MetalPole in-game that we created inside of Blender. Simple, effective, how to make an item in Arma 3.